As you all know, we started the strain hunter thing a few years ago. This thing actually evolved in our heads the last 15 years. We always have been traveling and collecting genetics worldwide. And because of the situation in the past, we always were very scared to film everything, and you can imagine going to remote countries, facing military and police and smuggling seeds back and doing all those kind of things. We were a little skeptic about filming. But 3 years ago, Frank and I said, well, forget it. Let's get a good camera team and let's start archiving what we do. And the area we're going to show you is one of the most famous areas in the world for the charas, the hand rub from living plants. And we will show you the whole process. We've been filming everything there. And at the same time, it's a big ecological disaster going on because the government decided to make 100 water plants in that area. So all tribes from Malana and Parvati and Manali and Tosh, all those little villages are pushed back into the mountains with a lot of consequences for us. And but we decided now, also because they're making police stations in that area, to make this documentary, as we made the Malawi one before, and to find the original species. What's very interesting about this country is that there you really learn about height. You can see the same phenotype on 1800 meters or on 3600 meters, where the same plant changes from a sativa to an indica. Yeah, the villages there are even from the time from Alexander the Great. Like the village of Malana, there's only 3,000 people, speak their own language. Once every 20 years, 200, 300, 400 people die of a cholera epidemic or whatever.
Or the village burns down.
Or the village burns down, what happened 3 years ago, so half the village burned down. And they're completely isolated. If you see them, they look like East European people. And they live on 2,200 meters in the Himalaya. So not only the way they work with the plants, but also, as Frank was saying, their culture, but their way of life with no injections and no medicine and everything. It's very, very important to preserve these people and the plants there.
Cannabis is part of Indian culture, agriculture and economy. They use cannabis and cannabis resin in their medicinal, in the Ayurvedic therapy, in the religious ceremonies for centuries, for millennium perhaps. And the fact that only in the last 10 years the attitude of the government has changed radically and has forced them to consider cannabis as an enemy and as a dangerous drug sounds ridiculous in that context, because it has no background almost. It's like from one day to the other, someone would come to Italy and declare tomorrow wine and coffee are illegal.
One thing that's also nice to say about this, what also changed very much, as you all know, you guys all know Hollywood, but you also know Bollywood. Until 4 years ago, Bollywood was only cocaine, and a lot of cocaine. And the last 4 years, it's very, very hard for us to get the really good Malana out here, the cream, because everybody in Bollywood is smoking hashish now. And this is from the last 5 years. It's like a huge culture under the actors and directors of movies in Bollywood. They're all smoking charas. So now the local dealers are coming down to this province and buying the local stuff. So also there, the way of consumption of drugs changed, and the attitude of people has been changing towards using cannabis. And also in the end, this is really good for us.
Charas and cream are unique to this area and this culture, and in the sense that the production of cream and charas is unique to this area, and only in this area of the planet can happen because of a combination of tradition, of way of working, of climate, environment, genetics. It all comes together and this product comes out. And it has been tried, people have tried to replicate, to make charas, bringing seeds from this area to other places in the planet, and it never came out the same way. There is something with the altitude, something with the way that it's rubbed right there in the fields there in the area that makes it unique. And this can be compared to champagne, for example. This could be used by the local government to bring tourism to the area, to make this area protected, because it produces a medicinal product that is unique, that cannot be replicated industrially in any other area of the planet. The same genetics adapt to different altitude by changing traits. I was amazed to see this for the first time so clear in front of my eyes. the same genetic, the same bag, literally the same bag of seeds planted at 2,000 meters on the sea level, and then 2,500, and then 3,000, and then 3,500. And you can literally see that the plants just adapt to the altitude by becoming shorter, by becoming apparently more indica, less sativa, by squatting up, by getting more sturdy, by broadening the leaves, and by shortening the flowering time, of course, because the more you go up, the colder the nights get, the shorter the season gets. So it was amazing for me to see that phenotypes in a landrace are really, really depending on the environment in some cases, and not just on the variation in the genetic itself. It was very interesting. The best cream comes from the highest fields. That was a consistent trend that we found there. Even though there were great creams that we tasted from this serious storm out there. I'm really glad we're indoor, guys. But the best cream comes always from the highest fields. Even though we had great samples from lower altitude, 2,500, 2,700, consistently the top 10, top 20 smokes we had in the chillum came from the 3,000 or 3,200, 3,300 meters altitude in different valleys, in different locations.
Maybe it's nice to tell how we did that. What we basically do is that we walk like 10-12 hours a day. And it's me and Franco and the other two people, and then we have a camera of 4, but we have like 22, 23 chair parts, depends on how long we walk and stuff like that. So what we do is all hand rub. So everywhere where we pass the field, we just grab the bunch just to make one hand, like a half a tola, that's like roughly 3 grams. And we let just one of the Sherpas during the walking, you rub during the walking. The thing is with rubbing, you have to do it in the sun. It's the best way to do it, but to keep your face in the sun the whole day in the Himalayas is pretty intense, and in the night you get a headache, so it's very difficult for us. So what we do, we gave all the Sherpas a little pile of an area where we were. We thought, this is a nice phenotype, let's do it here. And in the end of the night, you would have like 15 or 20 samples of different fields of different attitudes. And so in the night you can then really experience the difference of the qualities that we obtained that day and were rubbed that day.
These are mountains that go between 2,000 meters and 6,000 meters. We only reached 3,500 meters because that's the limit of the vegetation growth. Above that, the plants don't grow anymore. So the highest fields are 3,400 to 3,500 meters. But these places are really amazing, breathtaking. Mountains, ganja, and you can sit there and choose the best plants and rub it all day, and at the end of the day you have the best charas you can imagine. And this was one of the most experienced charas makers that we met in our traveling, and this man taught us a lot. You will see it in the movie. There's a long interview with Arjan and him, and yeah, it was just a special encounter. This person here, I brought with me a little bit of indoor weed, a little bit of indoor super lemonade from Holland. And I let him taste a joint of it, and he let me taste the best charas that he made, and it was just an incredible exchange.
Reasons that we are a little bit late with the Malawi Gold, but we are working on it, and to do something with a strain takes time.
Especially with this kind of strain.
And we only obtained it last year, and normally it takes 3-4 years, so you'll have to be a little bit patient. I know you're not the youngest anymore, but
it's coming though, I promise.
All Malawi Gold will come back.
It's a promise.